There are a lot of crazy black people in the world. There are a lot of crazy black people in the world. Right now, the American president, he wants to take over Greenland. Canada is going to become one of his states. He wants to take the Panama Canal. So, where are we?
After the controversial statements by the current Brazilian president and knowing about the military power that has been reinforced by Brazilian factions, Southern Command decided to activate the divers from the Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewmen, who are the operators of boats for special warfare, in order to integrate strategic operations in the region, expanding the possibility of direct actions against vessels linked to trafficking that operate on the Brazilian coast. The Brazilian president's criticism of Donald Trump's government, combined with the inaction of the Palácio do Planalto in adopting practical measures to contain the advance of crime in the country, increased the chances of more lethal incursions against the PCC and the Comando Vermelho being carried out by American forces. The growing closeness with the Brazilian Navy, evidenced by recent agreements and the presence of the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz in Rio de Janeiro, suggests that the Department of War, under the command of Peter Hegseth, may be preparing unprecedented operations against the Brazilian factions, just as we have seen in the Pacific and the Caribbean Sea, where several vessels are being bombed. In this context, the hypothesis that special warfare boat operators could be used at any moment to mitigate the tentacles of organized crime in Brazil gains strength, raising the possibility of unprecedented international cooperation in the fight against Brazilian narco-terrorism. Welcome to Life in the Barracks. The Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewmen, known as SWCC, serve as elite naval forces of the United States Navy, specializing in fast and discreet operations in maritime and riverine environments. Their training involves infiltration, interdiction of vessels, advanced reconnaissance, and direct support for irregular combat missions using high-speed boats and amphibious warfare techniques. In the Brazilian context, these operators could be employed in joint actions with the Navy to intercept boats linked to international drug trafficking that use the extensive Brazilian coastline as a strategic route, as well as to reinforce operations against factions such as the PCC and Comando Vermelho. Their experience in high-risk missions and coastal environments would increase the response capability against narco-terrorism, bringing to Brazil a level of military and intelligence cooperation capable of putting even more pressure on criminal networks operating inside and outside the country. The actions and statements of the current Brazilian leader, who recently declared that there are a lot of crazy people in the world, referring to Donald Trump, seem to further intensify geopolitical tensions, putting Brazil in a delicate position before the international community. The United States has already demonstrated its ability to launch swift and forceful actions, as happened in Venezuela with the capture of Maduro, or in Iran with the neutralization of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Life in the Barracks. This context suggests that any provocation or inflammatory speech can be interpreted as a threat, increasing the risk of direct measures against Brazil. And once again, it shows that the current Brazilian president prefers political confrontation narratives rather than actually taking measures to contain violence in the country.
The little signal for anyone who has a stolen phone to return it, because otherwise there could be consequences. I don't want to return it at the police station. I prefer to do it at the post office. Because returning it at the police station, people are even afraid, because they don't know what kind of officer or police officer they will find.
The United States Joint Force was delivered in synchronization and spatial effects.
These are the capabilities that are identifying rocket launches.
The United States Joint Forces used space to destroy Iran's infrastructure during Operation Epic Fury.
The U.S. is very serious about commanding the ultimate high ground of space.
The cooperation between special warfare vessel operators and Southern Command is not limited to technical training. It also involves sharing intelligence, logistics, and air support, creating an integrated combat system that can be deployed at any strategic point in the region. This structure is part of the Shield of the Americas, a continental military alliance that brings together countries such as the United States, Paraguay, Argentina, and Ecuador, which recently authorized the stationing of U.S. military personnel on its territory. The Shield of the Americas was designed to confront transnational threats that challenge the sovereignty of its member countries. Factions like the PCC and Comando Vermelho are seen as direct enemies of this alliance, as they expand their branches beyond Brazil, infiltrating international drug and arms routes. The fight against these organizations requires not only military force but also precise intelligence, often provided by CIA agents operating in the shadows. In the fight against the factions that terrorize America, the CIA plays a key role in gathering information, trafficking routes, and financial connections. This data is passed on to the Southern Command, which turns the intelligence into concrete operations. This combination of espionage and military action creates an environment of constant pressure on the narco-terrorists, reducing their ability to expand and weakening their support networks. Ecuador, by allowing the presence of American military personnel, reinforces the front line against drug trafficking. The decision strengthens the Shield of the Americas and creates logistical support points for joint operations. This measure is seen as strategic, since the country faces strong pressure from cartels and factions that use its geography as a corridor for international trafficking. The warfighting and tactical capabilities of the Southern Command are vast and include everything from ground forces to air and naval units. This structure allows operations to be conducted in multiple scenarios with speed and precision. The Southern Command is capable of mobilizing troops, aircraft, and vessels within hours, creating an immediate response against any identified threat.
You're scared, aren't you? I'm just somebody you want to taste. Why not the whole thing? It's not that far of a fall. Don't look down now, you're all gonna live, trust me, babe.
The aircraft that support the operations of the Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewmen include attack helicopters, surveillance drones, and tactical transport planes. These assets provide air cover, rapid extraction, and constant monitoring of the operational areas. The integration between air and maritime forces creates a comprehensive combat environment, where every movement of the factions can be tracked and neutralized. Joint operations enable rapid mobilization of troops and aircraft once a threat is detected. Fightem lockdown. These fighters specialized in amphibious operations are trained for infiltration and extraction in hostile environments, working side by side with SWCC divers. This combination creates a hybrid force capable of operating in any scenario, whether in deep waters, coastal areas, or urban areas near the sea.
This is the faction with the hegemony that has the most power in the entire state and with a presence throughout Brazil, just like the Red Command, but the Red Command also has cells in the state of São Paulo, as Renan showed us. And today we have another report coming from the São Paulo newsroom from Alfredo Henrique saying that the metallurgy team of the Comando Vermelho was designing and manufacturing rifle parts in São Paulo. A factory in Santa Bárbara do Oeste, São Paulo, is owned by a businessman wanted by Interpol ICP, who is believed to be in the United States.
Brazilian factions such as the PCC and Comando Vermelho have military and financial capabilities that rival small armies. They control trafficking routes, invest in heavy weaponry, and have branches in various sectors of the economy. This structure requires more forceful actions from the Southern Command, adding to the efforts of state and federal police to contain the advance of crime. While Brazil faces internal difficulties in neutralizing the power of these factions, the Southern Command and its allies demonstrate that only an integrated and international response can reduce the impact of narco-terrorism. The combination of CIA intelligence, joint operations with special forces, and support from local police creates a combat system that step by step can weaken the power of criminal organizations. The challenge is enormous, but the activation of this lethal and strategic force shows that the war against organized crime is far from lost. Leave your comments below if you think these statements by the President of Brazil regarding Trump could be the trigger for the White House to authorize direct actions against the PCC and the Comando Vermelho on the Brazilian coast. Here at Vida no Quartel, you stay up to date with everything happening in the military world. Leave your like, subscribe, and watch one of the videos that's appearing on your screen. Forward fighters, see you next time.